I went up to Brooklyn, we went traveling across the sea. You were drinking wine and you were speaking Portuguese. I was making lots of noise, busking on the city streets. I came back from Brooklyn, but you didn't come back for me. Maybe you got lost somewhere, swimming too far off the beach, off the coastline in Bermuda.
So here recently, I got on the Instagram and I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna be doing a little Q&A video. I basically want to go over kind of any questions you may have, coffee related, life related, whatever, business. So anyway, y'all gave me some pretty dang good questions and we're gonna go ahead and do that today. We're gonna, thought I may have singed my beard. Is it on? Didn't even have it on. Gosh, it's on now. We're making a little pot of coffee in the Moka Pot. Before that, I do just want to thank you. This Q&A is kind of based on me hitting 10,000 subscribers. That, to me, that's just insane. I'm just this country dude out in the sticks. I enjoy specialty coffee. I feel like sometimes I'm kind of this weird outlier that, I don't know, there's really no box to put us in, but yeah, I enjoy this whole sphere of it. I enjoy the coffee farmers, you know, all of it. So yeah, thank y'all so much for the 10K. I never dreamed, like when I started making these coffee videos, that I would ever have 10,000 subscribers. So we're gonna let this brew real quick. I'm gonna pour me a cup of coffee and then we're gonna go get started on some Q&A questions. First question was, have you ever had a shot of espresso mid-race? No, I have not, but that gives me a crazy idea. What if we was to create a coffee running race where on every lap you came around, you had to take a shot of espresso to continue on to the next lap? Okay, there may be some waivers we'd have to sign for, like, you know, death, but I think we can make it work.
Well, I'd cannonball right out there if I thought it'd change a thing. I came back from Brooklyn, but you didn't come back for me.
So question number 2 was, what is your favorite beard balm? Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've never really been a beard balm type of guy. I eventually want to get to that point in my life where I do kind of, you know, use some beard balmish type products. I did have somebody send me like a little gift package here a while back. I don't know if that was them telling me something, but I may try it out tonight, you know, see how it goes. Number 3 was, how do you grow your coffee beard? The trick to growing a thick coffee beard is to just drink copious amounts of coffee. What happens is it usually gets on your mustache area, drains down into your beard, and it's literally like Miracle-Gro. Not only for the beard, but for the soul.
Now I'm back at home, sweet home, in the hills of Tennessee. I went out.
The 4th question is, what is a good budget home espresso machine? Funny you should ask, Caden, because honestly, I just had this company send me an espresso machine. That sounds so salesy. I'm not selling anything, but they just sent me this little espresso machine. It's kind of like the Breville, but it's like a different brand. I've been using it, and I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoy it. And it's one of them things, like, I know it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of some commercial machine, but it is nice to be able to kind of like experiment and pull some different shots of espresso. I think if you're just kind of starting out and you're beginning, I think that type of machine is probably, you know, one of the better ones. If you've worked in a coffee shop before and you've been, you know, working on these kind of higher end machines, you may not enjoy it. But for someone starting out, I think it's gonna be a fun little machine. So I'll definitely be making a video on it later down the road. I want to use it for a couple months before I just go and throw something up. So yeah, be looking forward to that. So while back here answering these questions, I found this turtle right here. I think it's a big old streakhead or something. I think it's a whole snapping turtle. Look at this thing. Ain't that pretty cool? Let's see if he bites real quick and then I'll move him off the side of the road. So down here in Louisiana we have a lot of snapping turtles. And this is one. I just kind of put a little stick in front of his mouth and he bit it pretty quick. They're like little bulldogs. They'll literally latch on and they will not let go. So if you get your finger stuck in that little sucker, dunzo sonzo, it ain't happening again. You ain't getting it back. You know, that's his. All right, little buddy. So anyway, he was kind of shy. He didn't really want to come out, so, and it's hot right here. We moved him off the road, you know, best you could do with these old turtles. It's old dirt pit road, so it ain't like there's much traffic back here anyway, so. Already turning out to be quite an eventful day. I like that. Question 5, I had to come get a better setup for question 5. Which do you feel is inherently more of a risk? Starting a cafe or a roastery? Whew, I think a lot of us kind of deal with that in the beginning. I'm kind of dealing with it right now. It's like you want to start the cafe, you want to start the roastery, but it's like you almost have to choose one unless you got some deep pockets or, you know, or some friends at the bank. But I think it really depends on a few things. One, it depends on your location. Do you live in the city? Do you live in the country? Do you live out in the suburbs? Do you live in a poor part of town? Do you live in a more prosperous part of town? I'm down here in Louisiana, so it's hard to justify, you know, some of those higher prices sometimes. So one, I think it depends on location, and that's going to determine a lot of your risk. Two, I think it's going to be self-awareness. What are your abilities? What are you kind of capable of? What are your financial resources? What skills do you have? And what is your work ethic like? You know, and that's a lot of things that only you can really, I mean, it's going to show regardless, but it's only you can really decide that. And a lot of those skills and traits that you alone have are going to be like things that help mitigate the risk. And 3, I would just say do a cost-benefit analysis on each. You know, write down pretty much everything you would need for the roastery, write down everything you would pretty much need for the cafe, and then go about it that way. Where I currently live, I think opening a cafe would probably be a little bit more risky, but that's my location. For me personally, I don't have any barista skills or anything, so open a cafe would basically mean that I would be hiring employees right from the start. Where if I opened a roastery, I could have me as the sole employee for, you know, for a few months to a year, whatever, until I was able to kind of hire on help. For the roastery seems like it would be a little bit more less of a risk, again, where I'm at, but it may not be that way for you. If you're a barista and you've been doing it for, you know, 10 years and you want to open a coffee shop, that's probably the way to go. The whole thing is like, it's really not about the money. It's not about like the financial risk as it is, what are your abilities? Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. If you want to determine where that risk lies with you, I say do that cost benefit of analysis on a coffee roastery, on a coffee shop. Do your projections, see what you're going to need to make to be able to pay the bills on each. And honestly, it may not be justifiable for the location that you live in. You may have to move, or you may have to put it, you know, in a bigger town or something like that. So yeah, that's one of them questions I definitely want to dive on. I may even make a whole video on that later down the road once I kind of figure it out, because I'm still in that point too. I'm still in like, what would be the best option? And for me right now, I've chosen the roastery path. That's kind of where I'm headed now. I don't want to, you know, announce anything on here because anyway, that is the path I'm going right now, just solo roastery, maybe doing like a little coffee trailer to kind of dabble into the cafe side of it. But eventually, yeah, I would love to do both, and then at that point I can honestly give a better educated, you know, answer on doing both. Number 6, favorite way to brew coffee outdoors. My favorite way to brew coffee outdoors is honestly the Moka Pot. It's one of them things where like when people come up to you and you have the Moka Pot on a burner, it's a conversation starter. It's good. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like mocha. They, you know, the Moka Pot, they say it, you know, tastes whatever, this, that, and the other, has sediment in there and stuff like that. But I mean, you know, such is life, dude. You can't be handed lemons every day. You need some good Moka Pot sometimes. So, Moka Pot outdoors, dude, hands down. I want to start dabbling more into cold brew, and I think if I could ever get into cold brew, doing stuff like that, that would probably be more of my summer coffee drink. So that's kind of my goal this summer, is to really dabble into cold brew. I talked to Bert at Days Old Coffee, and he kind of got me fired up on it. So yeah, looking forward to that.
'Cause we made plans to meet. It wasn't who I thought it was, staring back at me.
Number 7 is, what are the do's and don'ts of brewing specialty coffee? Well, 1, you need quality coffee. And then you want to grind that quality coffee to the precise standards for your brewing device. You want to learn that device. You want to memorize it. You want to be able to use that brewing device in pitch blackness, if need be. Use high quality H2O, preferably from a well source or something like that, with some minerals, some good sulfur and stuff like that. And then You need a good mug. You see, the mug is where the magic happens. You know, the coffee origins and all that, like that's, you know, that's good. But the mug is the happy place. I use the butterfly mug sometimes because it puts me more in tune with my millennial feelings. Just helps my issues and all my stress just flutter away. But no, the do's and don'ts of specialty coffee, literally just have some good quality coffee, a good grinder, and just experiment, man. That's the coolest thing about specialty coffee, is there's so many good coffees. You can never drink the best coffee because there's always going to be a better one coming out one day. Somebody's going to be farming some better coffee the next year. It could be 2 years from now, 3 years from now. It's going to be coming. So just taste. My biggest suggestion would just be don't drink the same coffee every time. Try different roasters, try different origins, try different blends, try different everything, you know? Try Chemex, try AeroPress, try Espresso, try it all, dude. Just go down the gauntlet of coffee. I don't know. That's my do's and don'ts of special coffee.
Back at me. She might look just like you, but she ain't you. And I think maybe you got lost.
All right, so question number 8 is, any recommendations on supplies for an at-home roaster? Cupping equipment, labels, bags, etc. I've done a couple of videos on this. My how to become a coffee roaster video is probably the best one as far as like supplies and stuff you may need. But right off the bat, I think, you know, as I progress through home roasting and stuff like that, I think as a home roaster, most of us are on that same journey in the beginning where we don't really know what quality coffee tastes like. So we just start roasting all this, you know, just random coffee, you know, Perus and Colombians and Kenyans and Ethiopians, and we're just going down this gauntlet trying to figure out like what tastes different, like what are the different tastes and how small changes in roasting can kind of affect that. And I think as far as like best recommendations for an at-home coffee roaster would be, get you a few little cupping bowls and just cup a bunch of coffee. You know, get really good at tasting. I think that's really important. It's one of them things that I neglected for probably the first year or so whenever I got in, and that's important. I think that's super important. So get your little cupping set. Also get you just all the little brewers that are pretty cheap. I mean, the AeroPress, the V60 at Chemex, I mean, they're all, you know, 30 bucks or under usually. Get you a bunch of different devices to kind of try coffee on. I think that's a good thing for home coffee roasters too, because if you're giving it out to friends and family, you don't ever know what everybody's kind of brewing on. So it's kind of cool just to try all the different methods and then be able to kind of speak to each as people kind of, you know, ask you questions and stuff like that. For bags and labels and stuff like that, I'd say get your artwork down as a vector file, and then honestly, any of the companies you use nowadays, they're probably going to be pretty reputable. I'll link some down below that I've used in the past, and yeah, just I think the main thing is getting that vector file where your artwork is not so detailed that it won't come out in the print, and that the wording is not so small that whenever it does get printed on the sticker or label or whatever like that, like you can't read it. Number 9, so a few questions here. What is your background? That is, where did you grow up? I grew up in Louisiana, Denham Springs, a small little town right outside of Baton Rouge. Quaint little place, pretty cool, you know. What schools did you go to? Just a simple old public school. Learned to read, write, and love, all that type of good stuff. What were your hobbies as a kid? I like to go hunting a lot. Actually, I went hunting a lot when I was younger. I don't hunt so much anymore just because I have a bunch of kids and stuff like that, and just life, you know. But when I was growing up, definitely hunting. I like to read a good bit. I like to, you know, I grew up on a little farm, like to garden and stuff. Once I got older, I really like to travel and stuff like that. What is the family you grew up in like? We grew up on a small farm. My dad always had, I don't know, like 25 to 30 cows growing up. He was a pump mechanic and machinist. My mom was a substitute teacher. Pops finally sold out of the cattle business and focused mostly just on his day job, you know, doing the little pump mechanic machinist work. My dad, he worked tons of overtime. He hated debt. And yeah, we kind of grew up pretty frugal. My parents were pretty strict on, like, you know, for instance, we had to pay 50 cents for Cokes growing up. You know, it wasn't like you just pull a Coke out of the refrigerator for free. Oh, no, no, no. You pay 50 cents for that sucker. Now, the other thing to kind of show you just how frugal my parents were, like, they made me pay for my braces in 9th grade, you know. So Dad said, if you want braces, you know, whatever insurance doesn't cover, you have to pay. So I was like, okay, cool deal. So 9th grade, I had a $115 a month note for my braces or whatever. But, you know, I will say my dad always put me in positions and gave me the skills to, like, work and do stuff like that. Where did you get your entrepreneurial spirit? I got my entrepreneurial spirit, I guess, from my uncles. My dad, he always had a job. He always worked, you know, like I said, he was a pump mechanic, machinist. But my uncles were all into the dirt business. They drive dump trucks and stuff like that. They do dirt work. And so I don't know if I kind of got it from them. The other thing was being stationed out in California for 2 years. I lived in the San Diego region, and you just see a different side of hustle, like a different culture. And I remember when I came back from California, it really pushed me into the business route. I mean, you can't, it's hard to go out to California and live for a couple years and not want some of the things that you see people driving around and living in. Down here in Louisiana, it's pretty humble upbringing. Like, you know, you don't see Ferraris ever on the road. You rarely see a Mercedes on the road. So it's kind of one of them things, like whenever you get out to California, you start seeing all these Maseratis and Ferraris and Lambos in parking lots. It's like, you literally feel like you're in another world. And I think just being immersed in that culture kind of makes you want more things. So yeah, whenever I got out of the military, came back, I saw that my dad was like literally just retiring, and they're so broken down after they retire, and it's like he didn't even live that much longer after retirement. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of wanted to go the entrepreneurial route. My uncle, he's always pushing me to do it. So I don't know. We're trying. One day, maybe we'll make it happen. I also plant a lot of fruit trees. There's a little nectarine tree right here. Got a little peach tree over there. I think I got about 35, 40 fruit trees. And yeah, I don't know. I may eventually make a channel on like farming and stuff one day. Seems to be all the rage. What was you looking at in the image of the Q&A post on IG? In that post, I was actually looking at my kids swinging on this swing. I actually took the photos right back there. And it's kind of a cool moment because like it was my first brand deal that I ever did with Thermos. Thermos brand, you know, the company that makes the thermoses that you pour, you know, hot water in, coffee, whatever. So that was my first shoot that I ever did for like a company. And I remember getting paid for it, and I was thinking like, wow, like there's so many different streams of revenue that you can make with a company nowadays, you know? Yeah, so I was looking over here trying to make sure that they were staying over here and nobody was venturing off, you know? So that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Truly appreciate y'all tuning in, and hope this was somewhat enjoyable to you. I like these kind of videos. I think it's fun. It's kind of get to move around, get to do some stuff. If y'all have anything, please hit me up in the comments below. I'll link some of the stuff below as well. I always have a few books down there that I enjoy. I got some brewing devices that I like. Yeah. Anyway, if y'all have any questions, like always, hit me up. I love you, and I will see you next week.
The coastline in Bermuda, the triangle in the sea.
I don't know if y'all can see all these pears, but my tree is loaded this year. Like if you want a survival crop, especially down here in Louisiana, dude, definitely get you some pears. They're finally getting a little ripe. These are little cannon pears, so they're kind of small. But yeah, grapefruit's doing good. Look at these little grapefruit.
You know I'm back from Brooklyn, and I'm waiting on you now.